Well, good day, everybody. Here we are on the Bible in a Year, 2021, and we are dealing with day 74, Deuteronomy chapter 11, 12, and 13. So let's get right into this. So here's something that's interesting in verse 2. And know right now what your children haven't known or yet witnessed. I just found the wording of this very interesting. Like, keep in mind what your children don't know. Keep in mind that they haven't experienced what you've experienced. They haven't seen what you've seen. So keep that in mind to know how you need to instruct them, why you need to instruct them. Um, their experience is different than yours. I can't expect my children to respond in the same way that I do because I went through different experiences that got me to the place where I am now, and they are still learning. They may never experience the things that I experienced. So we may come to the same conclusion, but from different directions, or we may never come to the same conclusion. So we have to consider what our children don't know, and that's then the importance of our testimony, of teaching them, of telling them our story. So many parents don't tell their children their stories, but we have to tell our story because our story doesn't belong to just us. It's Yahweh's story, and it belongs to our children. And we get this repeated theme all the way through this, the benefits of obedience. Okay, we've already heard it, we're hearing it again. So keep every part of the commandment that I am giving you today so that you stay strong to enter and take possession of the land that you are crossing over to possess, so that you stay strong to enter and to take possession, so that you might prolong your life. We've heard this before. Prolong your life on the fertile land that the Lord swore to your ancestors to give to them and their descendants, a land full of milk and honey. Um, this is something maybe you've never noticed this before, but look at this verse 12 of chapter 11. It's a land that the Lord cares for. It's a land that the Lord cares for. The Lord's eyes are on it constantly from the first of the year until the very end of the year. Is this a favored part of creation? We know that there's that the Lord he puts favor upon um, certain people, and for his purposes, it's for him. It's not for us to be jealous of at all. We celebrate that. We celebrate the favor of the Lord. He has purposes beyond our understanding. But this looks like it's a piece of property, a land, a part of creation that he favors. And to favor is to say that he favors it over other parts. Interesting. Um, Here we see more benefits of obedience, of them obeying, of doing exactly what Yahweh has instructed them to do. Then he will provide rain for your land at the right time, early rain and late rain, so you can stock up your grain, wine, and oil. He will also make your fields lush for your livestock, and you will eat and be satisfied. Those are pretty awesome benefits there and promises that are given. And at the same time, every time these benefits are mentioned, there's caution that's also given in verse 16. But watch yourselves, otherwise your heart might be led astray, so you stray away, serving other gods and worshiping them. That's the downfall of success. We've already mentioned that in past recordings, so just keep that in mind. We have to live on purpose. We have to serve on purpose. We have to worship on purpose, and that's how we make sure we remember. We remember where we came from. We remember the source of all things, and we're supposed to we're supposed to normalize the word. We normalize the word and see the benefits. This is just where the law has to be as common as breathing. Do all, in verses 18 to 21, and I've just used an example here, do all Do all that so your days and your children's days on the fertile land the Lord swore to give to your ancestors are many, indeed as many as the number of days that the skies been over the earth. So just have here making Yahweh's instructions as normal as talking about the weather, and that will keep immorality against Yahweh away. It's it's when we treat the word as if it's something special. It is special and sacred. Don't misquote me, but in it being special and sacred, it has to be a part of our day every day. It has to be part of our conversation. It's got to be natural, not put on, because this is where we focus. This is it's like food, right? Food is special, but food is also normal. It's normalized. You eat breakfast, you eat lunch, you eat supper, you have snacks. It's just this is every day. You may not even think about it all that much, and then there are times that you really think about it and you do something special, something really really great. So yeah, this is what we're supposed to do with the word, and that way. There's no way that we'd want to step into immorality towards him. In verse 23 to 24, um, we have again responsibilities and benefits. Responsibilities and benefits. Then the Lord will clear out all these nations before you. So, we have to follow the laws. We have to all that. That's what we have to do, right? And then the Lord will clear out all these nations before you. You will inherit what belonged to nations that are larger and stronger than you are. Every place you set foot on will be yours. Your territory will run from the wilderness all the way to the Lebanon range and from the Euphrates River all the way to the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, so yeah, there are responsibilities, but there's also these incredible benefits, and that's what it's like serving the Lord. We do have these responsibilities, loving our neighbor, loving each other in the same manner that He loves us, sacrificing for one another, being ready with a testimony, being ready to answer somebody for what we believe. These are all responsibilities that we have, but the benefits that we have, it's just incredible. And that's what we have to keep in mind all the time. We're not here for ourselves. Verse 29, and they're just talking about a future ceremony. It's a beautiful, incredible ceremony where certain tribes will stand on one side and they will read out the blessings, and the other tribes will stand on the other side. It's a valley with these two mountains, and they'll stand on the other side and they will announce the curses. If they turn away from Yahweh, what will happen? And it's just this beautiful thing. And it says, now when the Lord your God brings you into the land that you are entering to take possession of, put the blessing on Mount Gerizim and the curse on Mount Ebal. Okay, so here in going over to chapter 12 now, and we're not going to go through all of this because we already have in previous books and previous recordings. So my apology if you're just joining in with us and you've skipped those first parts, but we're not going to go through all that because your time is precious, and we've already covered this. So here Moses is representing the regulations and case laws, because the first generation that it was presented to have all died out now, and it's their children now that have taken their place, and so it's being represented to the children. And so these are the regulations and the case laws that you must carefully keep in the fertile land the Lord, your ancestors' God, has given to you to possess for as long as you live on that land. Just here, because we're discussing relationships, and we need to understand the first thing that is dealt with is a relationship buster. Okay, right here, uh, it's Yahweh has to be placed in the center. So what's the command? Go in and destroy all the idols. Why? Because the idols were the problem. We're going to see that in a second. The idols were the problem. So go in, destroy all those, and make sure that Yahweh is in the center. Okay, so instead you must search for the location the Lord your God will select from all your tribes to put his name there as his residence, and you must go there. So one place to make the offerings. Not all over the place, not all kinds of different altars. There's one altar. There's one place that they need to go to. Now, this is important, people, and it really has to do with our day and age now, right now, where we are right now. Has to do with then. It has to do with the end of Judges. It has to do with where we are today. And it says, don't act like we've been acting here lately. This is Moses saying to the Israelites. Everyone doing what seems right to them. Okay, we're not, no, we're not given to that. We're not. We're growing up into dependence, not independence, and we're getting to know Father's heart, and that's what we want to do. We want to do His heart, and we don't do whatever we feel like doing. We don't do what we think is best. We have the Word of God. We have the Holy Spirit. The heart of the Father has been revealed to us, and it's these things that we do. We don't get to do whatever um, seems right to us. That's not how we do it. Um, and there's a warning here, just pointing out, don't forget the Levites, because remember the Levites have no land, they have no possessions. They're being given a bunch of cities, and they're given so much land around the cities so that they can plant crops, but they have no land to call their own. So they're warned. But watch yourself. As long as you are on the land, don't forget about the Levites. These are servants. They're serving. They are serving all the tribes, and they have no land. They've given up their inheritance. The Lord is their inheritance. Um, Verse 23. This is very important. Furthermore, make sure that you don't consume any of the blood, because blood is life. You must not consume the life along with the meat. We have dealt with this earlier. The Lord has warned them about spilling blood. They have been given blood for certain sacrifices, and that blood must be presented and given over for the purpose of the sacrifice. But they are not allowed to consume it, because that is the life. Um, so yeah. Okay, verse 31. Understand this. Don't act like they did toward the Lord your God, because they did things for their gods. Okay, this is why they're being replaced, people, right here. This is why they're being driven out from the land. This is why they are being slaughtered and yeah, and just put into oblivion. Don't act like they did. The seven the seven nations they're going after. Don't act like they did toward the Lord your God, because they did things for their own gods that are detestable to the Lord, which He hates. They even burn their own sons and daughters with fire for their gods. See, you may hear that it was because of their immorality towards each other, but it wasn't. It's clear here. It's because of their immorality towards Yahweh, because they offended Him, not just with idol worship, but the type of idol worship. What they did was despicable, just horrible. Um, and it was detestable to the Lord, more so than any of the nations around them, and that's why that they are being removed. Um, so that should be clear for us right there. Okay, on the last chapter we're looking at today, for chapter 13, verses 1 to 3, dealing with false prophets. You hear a lot about false prophets these days, and a lot of it apparently is about teaching. Um, there's even some who are saying that they're false signs or false miracles and signs and wonders, false stuff. But the thing that we always have to look for is um, the anti-Messiah, the anti-Jesus spirit, which means that's a spirit that drives us away from Jesus, not towards Him. So that's what should be measured when we're looking at anything. Is this promoting intimacy with Christ? Is this drawing me into Christ? Is this drawing me into the Father? Is this promoting the Father? Is this lifting up Jesus as Lord and Savior? This is what you want to look at. Um, and we see it here. Now, if a prophet or a dream interpreter appears among you and performs a sign or wonder for you, and the sign or wonder that was spoken actually occurs, if he says, "Come on, we should follow other gods, ones you haven't experienced, and we should worship them," you must not listen to that prophet's or dream interpreter's words, because the Lord your God is testing you to see if you love the Lord your God with all your mind and all your being. So it's not all about the signs. It's the purpose. It's the motivation. Is what being presented drawing you toward God or away from God? That's a big deal here. Um, yeah, all in, right? Verse 4, you must follow the Lord your God alone. Alone. Nobody else. Don't follow anybody else. You follow him alone. Revere him. Follow his commandments. Obey his voice. Worship him. Cling to him. No other. I think that's pretty clear. You got to be all in. You got to be all in. Yeah. It can't be like some practices, some religions where you worship every god you can think of. Just make sure that all the bases are covered. No, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to the Father except through me. That's what Jesus said. All in. Verse 6 to 8. Even if it is your child. Oh boy, what? Oh, look at this. Similarly, if one of your relatives, even one of your own siblings, or your own son or daughter, or your dear spouse, or best friend entices you secretly, if someone like that says, "Come on, we should follow and worship other gods," ones that neither you nor your ancestors have experienced, gods from all the neighboring peoples, whether nearby or far away, from one end of the earth to the other, don't give in to them. Don't obey them. Don't have any mercy on them. Don't have compassion on them, and don't protect them. And then in the next verse, it talks about taking them out and executing them. Yeah. The weakest link, right? You got to get rid of the weakest link. And it doesn't matter that your love for the Lord has to be greater than your love for anyone or anything else. Now, today we don't take them out and stone them, but there are so many who will compromise um, to be accepted by their children. And we can love them. We can love them, and we can tell them straight out, "Listen, I will never agree with this, but I am your parent. I am in your life forever. I love you, um, even when you're wrong. I love you." That's where we are. But no compromise. Verses 14 to 15. There cannot be any pollution. It's a holy land. At that point, you must look into the situation very carefully. It's talking about, if there's a city, if there's a city that has been turned and they're now pursuing other gods, a whole town has turned away from Yahweh. At that point, you must look into the situation very carefully to see if it's true. And if it's definitely true that this detestable thing was done in your community, you must completely strike down the inhabitants of that city with the sword. Place it and all that is in it under the ban. Put its animals to the sword. You got to understand, people, Israel has entered into this covenant with eyes wide open. They have entered into this in full agreement. And now, if they insult, if they turn against, if they stab in the back, if there's justice that will come in because he is a God of justice. Verse 18. Yeah, word for today, right? In his eyes. You must definitely obey the Lord your God's voice, keeping all his commandments that I'm giving you right now by doing what is right in the Lord your God's eyes. Okay? Understand that clearly. We do not get to define what's good. It's not according to our definition. It's according to the Creator who designed all things, who knows when something is broken and who knows when it is functioning properly, who knows when something has gone bad and who knows when something is good. And what he declares is good, and what he declares is bad is bad. And we don't get to turn around and say what is bad is good and what is good is bad. We don't get to do that. We don't get to define this. What arrogance we have to think that we can override the judge of all judge, the king of all kings, the Lord of all lords, the creator, the power above all powers. What he says is golden. It's as simple as that. By doing what is right in the Lord your God's eyes. It's a lot, right? It always is a lot. There you go. It's a lot to take in. We're seeing more and more revelation. And I hope you're writing it down. You can write a book after this, right? So you guys be blessed today. Be encouraged. Get some rest. Enjoy your day and serve him with all your heart. Love you guys. Thanks for being on the trip with me.